Welcome to the morning meeting. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube or here on two-way. We're grateful to have you. This is a very special morning meeting because we're doing something that I'm hoping we do and we will do the whole campaign, which is we're going to show you the new ads from both sides and talk about them. And we've got some great people to help us with that analysis. So without further ado, Tim and Sean and I are here. If you want to get in the conversation, please raise your hand, your electronic hand. We'll get to as many of you as we can in this rapid fire episode that we're doing. Vice President Harris goes to Atlanta tonight for a campaign event that doesn't start till 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll see how she does in prime time. I'm curious to see who covers that live amongst the cablers. Donald Trump, no public events today, as we know of. Tomorrow, speaking to the National Association of Black Journalists and has a rally in the evening in Harrisburg, PA. That'll be interesting to watch. President Biden, no public events. J.D. Vance rallies in Henderson and Reno. Be curious to see what he says for all the obvious reasons. Doug Emhoff going with the people. Fundraiser on the island of Nantucket this evening. So let's look at the ads. They both were released this morning. And as we've discussed here, this contest now, to some extent, is primarily about defining Vice President Harris, who will win the definitional battle. And these ads go to that. We'll watch the Trump ad first, then the Harris ad. The Trump ad hits her on immigration. Watch closely, though, for the tagline at the end.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
This is America's border czar, and she's failed us. Under Harris, over 10 million illegally here. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. Brutal migrant crimes. And ISIS now here.
Do you have any plans to visit the border? You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
Kamala Harris, failed, weak, dangerously liberal.
All right, so they've replaced 4 words, make America great again, with failed, weak, dangerously liberal. Sean and Tim, your quick reactions, and then I'm going to bring two veteran ad makers in to say what they think of this spot. Tim, what do you think?
I feel like it's swung almost a little bit too much from they're throwing the kitchen sink at her. They don't know exactly what they want the message to be, to just a solo immigration message. I get it's a strong message for them. I get if they can tie her to that. It's important for them. I also understand dangerously liberal, right? In particular for women, in particular for women of color. They're already viewed that way, and they're going to continue to paint her that way. So I mean, it's an okay ad, but it's one issue. I don't know, and there's pushback that the campaign can do on this. So which is what, Tim? What a couple of things. One, I think, look, signed executive order, decrease the flow of unauthorized crossings, has a bipartisan immigration bill in Congress written by conservatives that got tanked by Trump. Like, I think there's a story to tell there and pushback, and I think they might go that route.
Sean, what do you think of that spot?
So first of all, I think it was issue focused, right? And it's one of the key issues, immigration and inflation / economy, that matter. So when you're going to do an ad, I mean, the primary purpose of the ad, and I'll let the ad makers talk about this, is to actually persuade people that are not with you to support you, not to get people who are already with you to be happy with you. If this ad hits persuadable voters, I think it's compelling. It talks about ISIS. That's scary. You go back to 2004, Bush versus Kerry. The idea was to scare people into believing that you need to be safe. We provide the safety. They don't. I will tell you, talk about good timing. The headline of today's coming out of this morning's Washington Post is about the surge of Chinese migrants entering the southern border. So again, it plays in nicely to what's happening. I think it creates a sense of fear that capitalizes on what people are thinking and believing every day. And again, issue focus. So I give them a lot of credit for this.
I suspect we'll see that tagline in other spots. Alex Castellanos, Republican ad maker. Hank Morris, veteran Democrat, made a lot of ads too. Hank, I know you have ideas about pushback, but first just tell me what you think of that spot as just a piece of craft of a negative ad.
So I thought it was good. I think it's effective. I'd be a little bit worried it might be over the top because it's not really believable that she did all those horrible things.
Huh. Okay. Alex, what do you think?
Damn it, Hank is right again. I think it's a good ad. It's a good, solid ad. But more reason we have to lock Hank up again for the duration. I like its light touch. If part of the ad making business is let the viewer participate in reaching the conclusion of that you want them to achieve. Otherwise, you're just talking at them. You have to make it there. It's like they have to get the joke. They have to participate, and there's nothing left undone here for the voter to be part of the process. It's like there's no place for them to get the joke. So, but that's the Trump campaign. It's sledgehammer, message wise and issue wise and tagline wise. I think it's good, solid stuff. I think any day she's on camera being clueless and liberal, she's losing.
Yeah.
And if she's making an ad responding to losing, she's losing more. So, I think it's fine. Weak, she's clueless and she's liberal.
By the way, if anyone from the Trump campaign's on, I hope that they hear what Alex is saying. I like the tagline, clueless and liberal.
I asked the producers if I'm not going to screw everything up. Can you put the Harris, the Trump anti-Harris ad back up? I just want to show the still frame of her that they use, the image they use a couple times in the spot.
I'm Donald J. Trump.
Can you put it in the little box just so we can all see it? If not, all right, just roll it a little bit, just to the first image of her. I think it's the second image in the spot. All right, stop it there. All right. So that. I think we all know what's going on there, but Alex, go ahead and enunciate what's going on there. Why are they using that image?
Well, part of this is that the job president, prime minister, the women who've been successful in that job are tough and strong. You're up against Putin. The fate of the world depends on your ability to stand up to mullahs and Hamas. It's
control the nuclear arsenal.
Right.
Well, there is that. And so is Kamala Harris up to the job? And I think a lot of Americans, when we see all the video that's on the internet, not so much. That's a huge risk. And on top of that, we've seen her tested in moments like that. And she's not, that's what this is. She's clueless. She's a lightweight.
Tim, we speak frankly. Sorry, Alex. We speak frankly on the morning meeting. You think they chose that without noticing that she's surrounded by black men? You think that was a coincidence?
No, I don't. That's a good question. I don't know about that. I know what they're doing with this image, and I think Alex is right with what they're trying to do. It was at I recognize this. It's from the 50-year anniversary celebration of hip hop event that she did. But it is like you have an image of her dancing. I don't think that's going to make a difference. It's not like she was doing this right before she was going to go meet Putin, right?
I will say
the image. I get it, but it doesn't feel defining to me. Not yet.
On the upside, she could get on Dancing.
Hold on, Hank. Hold on one second. Go ahead. She could get on Dancing in the Stars. Yes, thank you for that.
I think that's going to help.
Gratuitous comment. Go ahead, Hank, and then we're going to go the other ad.
Didn't they try to do the exact same thing to Obama with the African dress at some point?
They did.
And that worked really, really well.
Obama, a man, found ways to show toughness on foreign policy. He got to Hillary Clinton's right, for instance, on some issues, despite her reputation for toughness, and even to McCain's right on some issues. It remains to be seen how she's going to do that, if she needs to do that. All right, take everybody down. Let's go full screen. Hold on. Let's go full screen and show. This is a 1-minute ad from the Harris campaign. And I will say I'm a little skeptical they're really going to buy 60 seconds of broadcast television time in the battleground states. This might air a lot if they want to spend a lot of money, or it might be that this is a earned media play. It's, I think, a great spot. I'll tip my hand. We'll go ahead and play it in full, and then we'll talk about it.
The one thing Kamala Harris has always been: fearless. As a prosecutor, she put murderers and abusers behind bars. As California's attorney general, she went after the big banks and won $20 billion for homeowners. And as vice president, she took on the big drug companies to cap the cost of insulin for seniors. Because Kamala Harris has always known who she represents.
This campaign is about who we fight for. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead, where every senior can retire with dignity. But Donald Trump wants to take our country backward, to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and end the Affordable Care Act. But we are not going back. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So the way that played, for some reason, we couldn't hear the music. There is music under that. It's not just as stark as at least it sounded to me. So let's bring everybody back, all four guys, and let's start with Sean this time. Sean, what do you think of that for opening salvo from the campaign?
I get the theme, fearless. I understand why they wanted to pursue that. Makes sense. I thought the ad put me to sleep. It was boring. It was too long. I don't see how it's compelling at all.
So for you, it has a bad beat. You can't dance to it, as Dick Clark would say.
I can't dance, but yes.
Yeah. Tim, go ahead.
I think it's good. I think it's doing what it has to do. It shows that she's tough. It shows that she has chops as a prosecutor and a DA. It's something that they're saying in every statement. If you watch anything coming from Brian Fallon right now, it starts with, as a prosecutor, as her history as the attorney general, to play up her toughness. And I think it does a good job of introducing a little bit of biography, a little bit of positive issue, a little bit of contrast. 60 seconds is a long time, to Sean's point, but this is what you have to do when you're making a huge introduction to the country. So I think it's a good ad.
I guarantee you that a very high percentage, and I guarantee you the campaign thinks this, a very high percentage of the voters who will decide this election are wholly unfamiliar with the facts presented in that ad. So Hank and then Alex, what do you guys think?
No, I think it's professional. I think it's really solid. I'm sorry it didn't happen a month ago.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alex?
I thought the first half was great. It was serious. It was the strong, tough leader that we were just talking about. I love that it didn't have music because it was just non-political. So I hope they run it the way you did. I thought the second half, the ad was great until she showed up and kind of counter messaged the front half of the ad. She wasn't sticky for the first half. And I do think we're all going to see more 60-second ads because the market has fragmented. It's hard to persuade people and reach people. And if you get somebody, you better make them read a novel or watch the whole movie because that may be the only shot you get.
Yeah. All right. Want to see more hands up. We're going to talk briefly about beep stakes in a moment, but we want to see more hands up. We'd love to get some women in because we've been dominated here by a bunch of guys. And obviously that's not the way this program's supposed to go. So please raise your hand if you'd like to get in. In the crude and superficial way the morning meeting works, who won the day so far? Whose ad is better, or do you think it's a tie? Say Harris, say Trump, or tie, just based on those two spots. Tim?
Harris.
Sean?
Trump.
Jump ball.
Hank?
I think Trump till Harris answers, which I hope will be in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah. Alex?
Jump ball.
Okay. Does everybody agree with Hank that the Harris campaign should respond to the negative ad as opposed to ignoring it? Does everybody agree with that? Yes?
I don't.
No? You don't. Tim, you agree?
I'm curious why not. I mean, I just think there's a case to press, obviously explaining you're losing, but I think there's a case to press for Harris on rates going down, on a bipartisan immigration bill. And if we get into deep stakes conversations, like that could also change the conversation on immigration.
Can I just, here's my thing, and I don't want to give advice to Democrats, usually not in that business, but as I said, I thought the theme of the ad was good. Talk about being fearless and tough. It counters the point of the ad, but do so in a more compelling, dynamic way, I think would have been better. But trying to counter the fact that you tried to pass a bipartisan bill, at the end of the day, that's an excuse. The bottom line is the headline of the Post talks about Chinese migrants flooding the southern border. And if your answer is, I tried to pass a bipartisan bill, that's a very Washington excuse. I think she plays to her strengths to the extent that they think that those are strengths. and not try to counter a message that isn't going to win. You walk down the street in any city and say, but I tried to pass a bipartisan bill. They're going to say, good for you. Trump did it. And he'll close the southern border day one.
I think there is a case to be made with the situation that we're in with Harris switching the top of the ticket. Things are so fluid. I think it would be silly not to push back with a case because
no. I'm not saying, but I guess what I'm arguing is the exact way and the tactic.
Yeah.
I think trying to come back, staying with the fearless, tough person, as opposed to trying to come back and be a very surgical response, I don't think gets you anything. You're not going to win that argument. Play to your strengths.
All right, guys, just quickly on beef steaks. I have no idea what's going on. To me, the big question is, are Kelly and Shapiro dead? Now that we know Cooper's out, Whitmer's not in, right? Are Kelly and Shapiro dead? I think Bashir is
I think
dead.
Tim Hogan's idea, the Waltz thing is
Tim Hogan may be the last man standing.
Last,
if he's 30,
man standing, I'm gonna win
he's
this.
30, if he's 35.
No, but he said early on that Waltz was someone that should be considered, and you see the stock. I don't know. Maybe
how can you pick a super liberal if your biggest vulnerability is liberal?
I still think the Shapiro thing. Look, I'll give you my 2 cents. I hate to be giving advice to the other side, but I get the Shapiro vulnerabilities. I still think he brings more to the table than less, and more than anybody else.
Yeah, Tim.
I don't think Shapiro's dead by any means. I mean, he's on stage with Whitmer yesterday. Just on the Walz question, I don't think he gets easily tagged as someone who's super liberal, despite passing it's more of a populist agenda in Minnesota than a progressive agenda, right? It's like feeding school kids, codifying abortion rights. And I just think like his background as someone who ran in a Trump plus 15 congressional district, was a moderate guy. Like there's that story to tell too, which is not getting told right now, to your point.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's bring some folks in. Thank you again. Thanks to Alex and Hank for joining us. Let's bring in Janet and Jen together and ask you both to unmute, and let's just all have a chat together. Janet, you first. What's on your mind? Janet, can you unmute?
She's not on mute.
I know she's not. All right, Jen, you go first while Janet works on it.
I think especially the part where Harris is shaking hands with the industrial workers, all of those kinds of things seem very staged with Harris. I don't think she exhibits a comfort around people. Even the Hollywood things and the Obama thing, they're all just cringy because they're so fake and inauthentic. I mean, the message
Jen, remind the new people who you're voting for.
I'm voting for Trump, and I live in Oklahoma, Middle America.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. What did you think? Did you find anything appealing about her ad?
I love the part at the very beginning about her as her kid and growing up. I don't mind that she's fearless. I'd still rather like to have seen some leadership from her over the past 3.5 years, and I didn't see any. So.
Yeah, and Jen, what do you think of the Trump ad against Harris?
I mean, it was real. It was pulled from footage of her, so I don't know what they can say about it. So, I thought it was effective. So. And
Jen, before we switch over to Janet, but stay with us and chime in.
Sure.
How are you feeling about your candidate's chances now today? Like things going well? You're a little worried. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm always worried because, well, I mean, just look at the last month. I mean, you couldn't from day to day predict anything that was going to happen. And I don't know that that's going to change over the next 100 days or whatever. I mean, World War III could start. Who knows? I mean, seriously, it's as crazy as it's ever been in all the years I've.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. Stay with us. Janet, what do you think of the ads, both of them? And remind people where you're calling from and who you're for.
I'm originally from Boston, but I live in South Florida right now.
And who are you supporting
totally
in the election?
Unimpressed. This woman
Janet, remind everybody who you're voting for.
I don't know.
Good. Go ahead.
She to me is portrayed as a ditz, and they've got to do something. And having her talk about some accomplishments is just simply not going to do it, because that she didn't do alone.
Janet, what would be required to?
I don't know. I don't know the woman well enough, but the way not just to me, but I just think she is portrayed as a ditz. And I don't even know another word to describe it. And
So-
Either of you want to, go ahead, Sean.
No, I think something that Jen brought up that sort of, and I don't want to put words in Janet's mouth because I want to see if she agrees with this, but Jen touched on this. There's something inauthentic that comes across about Kamala Harris in big groups. The people that I know who know her in California said in small groups, she comes across very compelling and different. We've seen this on the Republican side a bunch over the decades. And there's something, whenever you talk to Republicans, even the ones that don't like some of Trump's antics or whatever, say, you know what, you get what you pay for. He's authentic. He's real. Da, 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 da. And that is a contrast that I think comes out, especially when these ads are next to each other. There's a level of authenticity that comes across when you see Trump. Kamala just has a hard time in ads and in big groups looking like it's real and authentic. It looks like everything is staged down to the laugh.
I'm hearing like 2016 all over again, going through this cycle. It's like questions of authenticity. Like,
hopefully we have the same outcome.
We want to vote for a woman, but not this woman. There's something about this woman.
But see, Tim, can I just, why do you, I'm just
it's
saying, not about,
I'm
I didn't say the word woman. Why is it?
Totally. But Sean, I'm just saying like this, I'm just saying, and I'm hearing the same things, and it is a hurdle that we have to overcome. I'm not even saying all of it is explicit sexism. It is just these embedded questions that women in power frequently have to address.
Lisa, go ahead. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Lisa,
that's true, but a Jean Kilpatrick, she is not.
Okay, Lisa, go ahead. Tell everybody where you are, who you're supporting, and what's on your mind.
Good morning, everyone. First thing I have to say is that I'm in Dutchess County in Purple Country in New York. I'm firmly in the Harris camp. And I also have to say to Sean, go Camels. Class of 87, a little older than you. But the only thing I wanted to observe, and I really appreciate this forum, I'm kind of addicted. But the one thing that I wanted to say with regard to the ads was jump ball for me as well. I agree with Sean that the Harris spot was a little long and a little boring. But the thing that struck me about the Trump spot was what I viewed to be sort of the poor editing. Like it just seemed like everything was spliced together. Especially that conversation at the end where she said, I haven't even been to Europe. Like it just was so clearly, kind of like these chunks taken and spliced together in an age where I think we can do so much better in the editing part of that. So that's really all I wanted to contribute.
Yeah. Lisa, how are you feeling about the vice president's chances today as compared to, a couple days ago? Like things still seem on good trajectory for you? You're getting a little more worried. How are you feeling?
I'm a worrier, so I can't say that I was ever feeling, really confident. I just still feel that this is 50-50. I don't have a huge sense. And interestingly, we raised our family in Westchester County, so 30 plus years there in New York, which is a really kind of a blue area. And so a few years ago, moving up to a spot where you will see Black Lives Matter signs right next to Trump 24 signs, depending on where you are in the neighborhood. Really a very interesting change for me.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy for me to just kind of I just don't have a sense. I just see it's about 50-50 up here.
Okay. Lisa, thank you. I'll get Sandra in and then Jill Abramson. So Sandra, go ahead. Thank you, Lisa.
I am a Democrat from Pennsylvania. I originally grew up in Luzerne County, and I'm from Lehigh County now. So Luzerne County is a perfect example that went red. And but what I want to say, I don't care what the political ads show. People are already dug in. I don't care. And those that are for Trump are going to stay with Trump, those that were Democrats. And I'm going to tell you, the Democratic women of Pennsylvania will deliver Kamala. That's all I have to say.
Sandra, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us again. Really great to see you. Jill Abramson, close us out today. We're going to try to end on time because the affiliates are furious when we run over. Let us know what you think, Jill.
I think the Harris ad is very good and important because it's substantive and it shows her actually getting important stuff done. And the charge against her is that she's a lightweight who hasn't done anything. So I think it's a skillful ad in adding meat and challenging those stereotypes.
Okay, Jill, thank you. Always great to see you. Thank you. Thanks everybody who participated. So tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern time, my two-way colleague Lauren Leader is going to have on Ms. Eddy and Watts, who organized that massive Zoom that was done for women on behalf of the vice president. Going to talk about how that came together and what the implications of that are. So Jill, you can see on the two-way website or on my Substack, you can see how to join that event tonight by two-way or by YouTube. And I'll be back tonight, I'm pretty sure, either pregame or postgame from Lauren's event. So you'll get a notification of that. But we'll see you then. And Sean, Tim, and I will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time, same bad time, same bad channel for the morning meeting. Tim, Sean, you guys want to have sign-offs like Dan Rather, Courage? Anything you want to say to conclude?
I would just say the one point that from today's episode, I would expect more and more previous clips of people saying things to be part of the political dialogue. They're not going to allow the voiceover, dangerously liberal. They'll say it. They'll have her clip, or in JD's case or Trump's case. But this is going to be the war of clips, and I think that it was really interesting that the comment about the editing, because I think that there's a love affair on the right now with this Lester Holt interview with her, and you're going to see that over again stitched into any ad just to get it in there.
Yeah. Tim?
I think that's right. I think Republicans are leaning on a lot of these clips from 2019 or from the admin during her time in some interviews, just kind of circulating on social. And I think they're going to grab a ton of them, put them in ads. A bunch of them are going to feel out of context. So it's going to be a battle.
Yeah. And according to 4 out of 5 doctors, if you're addicted to the morning meeting, much healthier than being addicted to cookies and cream ice cream or scotch. So yield to your addiction. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tonight, and then we'll see you again tomorrow.